Truth is often stranger than fiction, but sometimes, it's the coincidences in history that truly defy belief. Across centuries, seemingly random events reveal patterns that challenge our understanding of chance and fate. Today, we'll uncover some of the most bewildering coincidences ever recorded. Stories that seem scripted by an unseen hand. From synchronized deaths to prophecies and mirrored lives, these anomalies invite us to question the very nature of reality. If you're captivated by the mysteries of our past, subscribe to Unknown Facts, and like this video to join our quest for the remarkable. Now let's begin our journey into the profound coincidences that bind our shared history. July 4th, 1776, a date etched in the annals of history, a day that signifies the birth of a nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. America's birth, a moment of profound significance. Among its architects were men of vision, courage, and intellect, who dared to dream of a new world order. Thomas Jefferson, the eloquent penman of the Declaration, and John Adams, the fiery advocate for independence. Collaborators in the grand experiment of self-governance, rivals, often disagreeing on the best path forward for their fledgling nation, and friends, bound by a shared commitment to the ideals of liberty and a deep affection for one another. Their lives were deeply intertwined, their destinies forever linked in the crucible of revolution, shaping the nation, guiding its course through turbulent waters. As its second president, Adams navigated the challenges of a young republic, and Jefferson, as the third president, expanded its territory and solidified its principles. Decades later, the echoes of their revolutionary fervor still resonated across the land, as the country prepared with burgeoning pride and patriotic zeal to celebrate the 50th anniversary, a golden jubilee of sorts, of the Declaration of Independence, the document that had set them on this extraordinary path. Both men were nearing the twilight of their remarkable lives, the end of their lives, their bodies weakened by age but their spirits undimmed. On July 4th, 1826, a date already laden with historical weight, Jefferson died peacefully at Monticello, his beloved home, exactly 50 years to the day after his greatest achievement, the drafting of the Declaration. Hours later, as the celebrations of Independence Day continued, in Quincy, Massachusetts, far to the north, Adams also passed away, joining his compatriot in the embrace of eternity. His last words, a testament to their enduring bond. Thomas Jefferson survives. He was mistaken, unaware of the extraordinary synchronicity unfolding. Jefferson had already gone, his spirit released from its earthly confines. Two titans of the Revolution, their contributions immeasurable, gone on the same historic day, a convergence that defied explanation. News of their synchronized deaths traveled slowly across the land, spread slowly, carried by riders and printed in newspapers, leaving the nation in awe, grappling with the sheer improbability of it all. How could two men whose lives had been so instrumental, so pivotal to America's founding, its very genesis, depart on the very anniversary, the day that symbolized their greatest triumph? Of their shared triumph, a question that lingered in the air, unanswered. This perfect poetic symmetry, a final act of unity in their intertwined lives, remains one of history's most perplexing and poignant moments. Most astonishing coincidences, a twist of fate that continues to fascinate and inspire. A final shared chapter written not in ink but in the very fabric of time. In the story of a nation's birth and the enduring legacy of its founders. Of two founding fathers, forever linked in history and memory. History, with its vast tapestry of events and personalities, sometimes echoes itself. It whispers patterns and rhymes across the decades, creating strange and compelling connections between figures and eras that seem, at first glance, entirely distinct. These echoes resonate through time, inviting us to ponder the cyclical nature of human experience and the enduring power of fate. And it does so in uncanny ways. These aren't mere coincidences or superficial similarities. They are deep structural parallels that seem to defy the laws of chance. There are none more striking, none more compelling, than the intertwined lives of Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy. Two presidents separated by a century yet bound together by a series of eerie coincidences that continue to fascinate and bewilder historians and the public alike. Both men were elected to Congress in years ending in 46. A seemingly minor detail perhaps, but the first thread in a web of connections that would only grow stronger with time. Lincoln in 1846, Kennedy in 1946. Their political careers, launched in the same year of the decade, began to mirror each other in ways that could not be ignored. Both were then elected president in years ending in 60. The pattern continued, solidifying the sense that these two men were somehow linked across the generations. Lincoln in 1860, Kennedy in 1960. Leading the nation during times of immense social and political upheaval, both championed civil rights, standing firm against deeply entrenched prejudices and fighting for a more just and equitable society. They both understood the moral imperative of equality and were willing to risk their political futures to advance it. Adding to the tragic nature of their lives, both lost children while residing in the White House, experiencing the profound grief that no position of power could shield them from. And in the most devastating parallel of all, each was assassinated. Their lives cut short by acts of violence that shocked the nation and changed the course of history. Each assassination occurred on a Friday. Both were shot in the head while seated beside their wives, forever linking these two first ladies in tragedy. And what of their successors? Both were named Johnson, another striking coincidence in this chain of events. Andrew Johnson, born 1808, Lyndon Johnson, born 1908, a century apart, yet sharing the same name and a similar destiny. Both Johnsons were Southern Democrats, stepping into the presidency during times of national crisis, and both had served as former senators, bringing their legislative experience to the highest office in the land. And what of the assassins? John Wilkes Booth, born 1838, Lee Harvey Oswald, born 1939. Again, a century separates their births, yet their names are forever intertwined with the tragic deaths of two presidents. Both were known by three names, a seemingly insignificant detail that adds another layer to the mystery, and remarkably, each name totaling 15 letters, a numerical coincidence that some find particularly compelling. Booth shot Lincoln in a theater and then fled to a warehouse, while Oswald shot Kennedy from a warehouse before fleeing to a theater, mirroring each other's actions in the aftermath of their heinous crimes. Tragically, both assassins were killed before they could be brought to trial, leaving many questions unanswered and fueling countless conspiracy theories. The Lincoln-Kennedy parallels are so specific and numerous, extending far beyond mere coincidence, that they remain one of history's most powerful enigmas, a puzzle that continues to challenge our understanding of fate, history, and the enduring echoes of the past. These are echoes across a century, resonating through the corridors of time, that defy easy explanation, leaving us to wonder about the hidden forces that shape our world and the enduring connections that bind us together across the ages. The Titanic's tragic sinking, a maritime disaster of unparalleled scale, continues to captivate and haunt our collective memory. It's a story etched in history, a stark reminder of human hubris and the unforgiving power of nature. Is legendary, a tale retold countless times in books, films, and documentaries. The name Titanic itself has become synonymous with catastrophe. But what if, amidst the factual accounts and historical analyses, there existed a chilling premonition? It was foretold? What if the disaster, in its most haunting details, had been laid out in print years before the fateful voyage? In 1898, a time of burgeoning technological advancement and unwavering optimism, Morgan Robertson, a relatively unknown American author, published Futility, a work of fiction that would later become disturbingly relevant. A novella about the Titan, an unsinkable ship, a marvel of engineering deemed impervious to the perils of the sea. That strikes an iceberg, a seemingly insignificant collision with devastating consequences. In the North Atlantic, the frigid waters of the North Atlantic, a graveyard of countless vessels, and sinks on its maiden voyage, a catastrophic end to a journey that promised luxury and safety. The Titan was, in Robertson's narrative, vast, a floating city designed to impress and intimidate. Luxurious, offering its wealthy passengers every conceivable comfort and indulgence. And carried too few lifeboats, a fatal flaw that would seal the fate of many. Just like the Titanic would, mirroring the real-life tragedy with uncanny accuracy. 14 years later, history would tragically repeat itself, blurring the lines between fiction and reality. In both stories, the fictional and the factual, the ship's starboard side, the right side of the vessel, is gashed by an iceberg, a fatal blow delivered by an unseen icy adversary. In April, the cruelest month, as T.S. Eliot wrote, when the promise of spring is overshadowed by tragedy. Near Newfoundland, the icy waters off the coast of Newfoundland, a breeding ground for icebergs. and most passengers perish, succumbing to the frigid waters and the chaos of the sinking. Due to a lack of lifeboats, a devastating oversight that amplified the scale of the disaster. Even the ship's sizes and speeds, the immense scale and velocity of these ocean liners were eerily similar, adding another layer of unsettling coincidence to the narrative. When the Titanic disaster, the real-life tragedy that shocked the world, occurred in 1912, the uncanny parallels between Robertson's fiction and the grim reality became impossible to ignore. Robertson's book resurfaced, dusted off from obscurity and thrust into the spotlight, and he was hailed almost overnight as a prophet, a seer who had somehow glimpsed the future and transcribed its horrors onto the page. He credited his knowledge, attributing the accuracy of his story to his understanding of maritime trends, his familiarity with shipbuilding practices and the dangers of the sea. But the precision, the sheer level of detail that mirrored the actual events of his fictional disaster continues to fuel speculation and wonder. Remains chilling, a haunting reminder of the unpredictable nature of fate. Was it expertise, a deep understanding of the maritime world that allowed him to predict the future, or something stranger, a glimpse into the unknown, a brush with the supernatural, a prophecy written in ink, a chilling premonition captured in the pages of a forgotten book, fulfilled in ice and steel? The mystery of Morgan Robertson and the Titan continues to linger, a haunting echo in the story of the Titanic. In Samarkand lies the tomb of Tamerlane, a conqueror whose crypt warned, "Whomsoever opens my tomb shall unleash an invader more terrible than I." For centuries the tomb remained sealed, until June 20, 1941, when Soviet archaeologists opened it, ignoring local warnings. Less than 48 hours later, Hitler launched Operation Barbarossa, the largest invasion in history, against the Soviet Union. The timing was uncanny. The curse seemed to come alive. As the war turned, Stalin ordered Tamerlane's remains reburied with full rites in November 1942. Soon after, the Soviets won at Stalingrad, marking a turning point in the war. Was it all coincidence? Or did disturbing Tamerlane's rest truly unleash catastrophe and his reburial restore balance? The Hoover Dam stands as a monument to human ambition, and a story of tragic symmetry. The first fatality of the project was John Gregory Tierney, a surveyor who drowned on December 20, 1922. 13 years later, on December 20, 1935, the last fatality occurred. Patrick William Tierney, John's own son, fell to his death. Father and son, bookending the dam's construction, both lost on the same date, claimed by the same project. Their story is a haunting reminder of fate's mysterious hand, etched forever in the concrete and steel of the Hoover Dam. Scientific breakthroughs often emerge not from one mind, but from many, simultaneously. Calculus was developed independently by Newton in England and Leibniz in Germany, sparking a fierce debate over priority. The theory of evolution, conceived by both Darwin and Wallace, who published their findings together. Even the telephone. On February 14, 1876, Alexander Graham Bell and Elisha Gray filed patents for the same invention. On the same day. These cases of multiple independent discovery suggest that when the world is ready for an idea, it can appear in several places at once. Genius, it seems, is sometimes a collective leap, not a solitary stride. Sometimes, coincidence takes the form of a face. Enzo Ferrari, founder of Ferrari, died in August 1988. 2 months later, Mesut Ozil, future football star, was born. Their resemblance is uncanny. Side-by-side photos look like father and son or even the same person. The timing is just as eerie. One life ends, another begins, with a face seemingly passed on. Is it a genetic fluke or something deeper? A hint that identity and fate are more mysterious than we imagine? The story of Ferrari and Ozil leaves us with questions, not answers. Today, we've explored history's strangest coincidences, moments that defy logic and invite wonder. These stories challenge our sense of probability and hint at hidden patterns in the fabric of our past. Whether you see them as chance or something more, they enrich our understanding of the human story. If these tales have sparked your curiosity, subscribe to Unknown Facts and like this video to support our journey. Are these events random noise or faint notes of a melody we can't yet hear? The answer remains a beautiful mystery, one that keeps us searching. Until next time, keep questioning the improbable.